Good morning, boys and girls. I am Mrs. Allison, and I'm a kindergarten teacher. And I'm so excited that you are here today with me to become curious scientists. Together, we're going to discover things about our world. The only materials you will need today are your brain and maybe a paper and pencil to write down some observations. Let's go ahead and take a look at our learning target for today. Today's learning target is, I can explore and describe solids and liquids. I can tell what I observe about each. Scientists and engineers have certain habits that they engage in regularly. Let's take a look at that list of habits. These are the things scientists and engineers do. They ask questions and identify problems. They use models. They investigate and observe. They think hard about their observations. And they argue from evidence and research and talk about their thinking. We'll check back with that list at the end of our time together today and see if we also did some things that scientists and engineers do. I have some objects on my table. I have a toy unicorn. I have a toy car. I have a rock, a hexagon block, and some chocolate. Now think about those objects, boys and girls. All of them have something in common. I can think about lots of ways they're different, like the unicorn is soft and everything else is hard. I can eat the chocolate, but I wouldn't want to eat anything else. The unicorn is bigger than everything else. But they are all the same because they are all solids. Every time I say the word solid, I'm going to make this hand motion to help me remember solids. Solids keep their shape. This unicorn is not going to change its shape unless a force does something to it. Same thing with this rock. It will look the same and stay the same unless a force does something to it. Solids have their own shape. Now, over here, I have some other objects. I have some lotion. I have some juice, glue, paint, water, and hand sanitizer. Can you think of a way that all of those objects are the same? You can drink some of them. You can do a craft with some of them. Some of them you put on your body. They don't seem the same, but inside all of these containers are liquids. I'll do this hand motion for liquids because liquids flow. Liquids do not have a shape of their own. They take on the shape of their container. I'll show you what I mean. So I have some water in this container and I'm going to pour it into some other containers. So when I pour the water in, it spreads out and takes on the shape of this Tupperware. When I pour it in this little dish, it spreads out and takes on that shape. So, water is a liquid. It flows and does not have a shape. If I was to pour this water on the floor, it would just spread out. It would not stay still like a statue, like a solid would. So let's look at what we've just learned. Solids have a definite shape, like this ball or these Legos. Liquids take on the shape of their container, like the milk in this glass or the soup in this bowl. I have a big question. Remember that scientists ask questions. Here's my big question. Are there any objects that can be both a solid and a liquid? All right, friends, I am thinking of something that might start out as a solid and then change to a liquid later. I brought a few solids with me. I have, besides the ones that I already showed you, I've got my chocolate again. I've got butter, some ice cream in a dish, and I have some ice in a dish. And then I'm going to pull over my block from earlier and my car from earlier. And I'm want to see if I can do something to these solids to make them change. I'm going to change their temperature and see if that will make them become liquids. So right here I have a hot plate and a pan. You probably have seen that used to cook. Well, we're going to cook some of our solids today and see what happens. Before I get started on that, I want to get some information down on my paper so that I can make observations. So I've already listed the words for the things that I'm going to add to my pan. I'm just going to add a quick picture to show the objects, and you guys can either draw a picture or add words. All right, so there's my little cube of butter. Here's my little bowl of ice cream. The ice cubes I brought are shaped like this. Here's my rectangle chocolate bar. My block is a hexagon shape. And here's my car. Just some quick drawings for observations. All right, while you guys are adding your drawings, I'm going to go ahead and put my objects into the pan. Put my ice. Oh, you might hear a noise and see something happening already. Got my ice cream, the butter, the chocolate. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn this down just a little bit. My block and my car. Now we're going to give those a few minutes to sit in that pan, and you guys are going to help me sort some solids and liquids. All right, on my screen I see water. Is water a solid or a liquid? We know that water flows and does not have a shape, so it is a liquid. Now I see a block of ice. That ice has a shape. It has a rectangle shape. It is a solid. I see my chocolate bar. It also has a rectangle shape. It is a solid as well. Now I have cups of hot chocolate. If I was to pour that hot chocolate out, would it have a shape on its own? No, it would not. It is a liquid. What about the juice in this glass? The juice in the glass is also a liquid. It flows. And lastly, I have a whole orange. That orange has a shape, it has a circular shape, and it does not change unless someone does something to it. So it is a solid. All right, boys and girls, let's look at our solids that are in the pan. What do you see happening? Oh my goodness, why do you think that the butter and the ice cream has changed? And I don't even see the ice cube anymore because it has changed so much. Why do you think those things have changed and the others have not? Well, what do you know about butter and ice cream and ice? I know that it has to stay cold. I keep those things in my fridge and my refrigerator. So I'm going to come over here and just jot down a couple of observations. So the butter melted. My ice cream also melted. And what happened to the ice cube? That's right, it melted also. Now my chocolate bar, I can still kind of see the rectangle shape, but it's starting to melt also. What about the block in the car? They actually still look exactly the same. Nothing happened to the block in the car, so I'm going to put stayed the same for both of those. So what conclusions can you make, boys and girls? Let's think back to our question. Our question was, are there any solids that can also be liquids? Well, we've answered that question. Ice cream is a solid that can become a liquid. Ice and Butter are solids that can also become a liquid, as well as chocolate. So here is the conclusion I made. Some solids change to liquids when they are exposed to heat. So I've answered my big question. Let's look back at our list of things that scientists and engineers do regularly. Scientists and engineers ask questions and identify problems. Did you do that today? Yes, we did. Did you use models? We did. We used all of our things here on the table as models. You guys observed my investigation, and I know that you all thought hard about your observations. Now that we've done our research, you guys can talk about your thinking. Let's look at our learning target and see if we can shoot our target for today. Our learning target said, I can explore and describe solids and liquids. I can tell what I observe about each. All right, did we do that, boys and girls? We sure did. So let's everybody get your bow and arrow and shoot your arrow at your target. You met your learning target. All right, next time we are together, we are going to look and see how what we learned can apply to winter weather. So remember today that we learned about solids and that solids keep their shape and are still as a statue unless something moves them. And we learned about liquids. We learned that liquids don't have a shape. They take on the shape of their container and they flow. Can you guys find some solids and liquids at your house? All right, boys and girls, I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.